welcome to my channel. My name is Tori. I'm a recent graduate of Florida A&M University School of Nursing, and today I just want to talk to you all about how and what I studied during quarantine to pass the NCLEX. So I know that there's a lot happening right now, and I know it's really hard to stay focused during quarantine, to stay motivated to study. I know it was for me, so I just want to give you all some tips and also provide you all with information on how to study and also some tricks on how to figure out if you pass the NCLEX before those 48 hours are up, where you can purchase the quick results. So I have 2 tricks for that, but that'll be towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So first, I want to talk to you all about what I use to study. So I used 3 study materials. The first is UWorld. So I know a lot of people talk about UWorld, and I can say 100% that I would recommend UWorld. It was super helpful to me, and it really gave you really good rationales, really good abilities to highlight, make flashcards and things like that. This is what UWorld looks like actually. So this is what you would see if you got like the test bank. My university actually paid for all the senior nursing students to have a 90-day subscription to UWorld, so that was really nice of them. And they also purchased 2 of the self-exams as well through UWorld, which was also really helpful. I'm going to talk about that too at the end, but they really just help you see and evaluate, like, am I ready for the NCLEX? And moving on, I also use the ATI Comprehensive Review book, the pink book as it's called. This thing is the truth. It really gives you all the meat, all the basics that you need to know. It doesn't have a lot of filler. It really takes like everything that you'll probably see on the NCLEX and breaks it down to the essential parts of information that you need to know. I just found out that they actually do sell this book. You can buy it like on Amazon. People are selling it on eBay and things like that. And don't mind this book. It's been through 2 people. I actually got it at the beginning of my last semester of nursing school from a senior who actually, well, not a senior, but a graduate who graduated before me from the nursing program. So I had this throughout my entire last semester of nursing school to prep for my exit exam, which was through ATI. But this was really helpful. I would say if you can get your hands on it, or if you know someone who has it, maybe ask them if you can borrow it or buy it off them, or if not, maybe buy it through eBay or Amazon, because it's really helpful. And then lastly, I use the Mark Klimek Audios and notes. That was also really helpful. He gives you information, like he breaks topics down. He really gives you info on how to get into the mindset of NCLEX, how to really think like the test, and also he gives you test strategies on how to, I guess, do a constructive guess if you get to a question and you're just like, I don't know what this disease is, I don't know what this word is. Like, he gives you ways to think through the question, think through the answers, and pick the best one to hopefully give yourself a 50-50 chance, if not to get the answer right. So those are the 3 things that I used to study, and they were all really helpful. I wouldn't change anything about how I studied in terms of my test prep materials. So moving on to basically the what, when, and how of how I studied. So first I want to talk about the what. So a lot of people get caught up in what to study. They don't know, like, okay, should I do pharm first, med surg first, leadership and management? I would say that those things really don't matter, like how you organize the topics in terms of like doing cardiac or doing like GI first or doing leadership and management. Those type of things really don't matter. I would say make sure that you do a general overview of everything. And if you get the UWorld subscription, you're going to get test questions on all of those topics. You're going to get, OB, mental health, peds, leadership and management, fundamentals, med surg, all of that. And from there you can break it down further in the system. So if you just want to do cardiac one day, if you just want to do neuro. If you just want to do GI one day, you can break it down further like that. So that's really helpful as well. So I would say you want to do a general overview of everything, and then from there, make sure that you spend more time going over the ways that you can enhance those areas where you know you're weak. So as a nursing student, you go through nursing school and you know what topics you're weak in. Like, you've been through all these classes and you know what classes you may have struggled in more than others. So for me, that was definitely pharmacology. So what I did was I made sure that I did at least, I want to say, well, I don't want to put a number on it, but I knew that I needed to do some pharmacology questions every single day. So when I was doing my URL questions and when I was looking over my books and everything, I made sure that I was doing pharmacology questions every day. And say if I was doing cardiac questions, if I was going over cardiac, I tailored my pharmacology questions to that topic so that I was staying on topic and I wasn't like, going back and forth between cardiac, patho and things like that, but then I'm doing psychiatric drugs. Like, that wouldn't really be beneficial. So I made sure that those two things were going together. And I have my notes here, sorry guys. So yeah, just make sure that you really hone in on those weak areas. I would suggest that you spend at least like 20% of your time every day going over the areas that you're weak in. So when you're doing your work questions, when you're reading over the ATI book or whatever review book you're using, make sure that you're spending at least 20% or even more on your weak areas that you've identified. So moving on from there, I would go to the how. So what is your plan for studying? How are you going to organize your studying? And what is that going to look like day to day of you studying? So for me, I studied from noon to 5 p.m. and I did at least 120 UWorld questions every single day. So back in March, the NCLEX changed to where you can have a minimum of 60 questions. So when that change happened and I was made aware of that, I started doing a 60 question exam instead of a 75 question exam. So I did 2 60 question exams at least every day, so that I was breaking it up into what would most likely mirror the NCLEX, because you don't want to be doing something that isn't going to be near or identical to, what you're actually going to experience when you step into the test room at Pearson Vue. So that's what I did, and it really worked really well. On top of that, I went into my ATI book, and this book has, I think, about 81 sections. So I made sure that I read 4 to 5 sections every day, just so that I would be able to get through this whole book before I had to take my NCLEX. So I took the NCLEX on May 5th, and I started studying about a month and a half beforehand. It was really hard at first because I wasn't sure if my test day was going to be the same or if it got moved or what. So I wasn't sure if I should keep staying on my regular plan or should I try to advance everything in case my date got canceled or pushed up or pushed back. But unfortunately it didn't change. So my plan was okay in the sense that I didn't have to change anything. But yes, so I made sure that I read those 4 to 5 sections every single day so that I was able to get back through it, because I had already read this book one time before, because as I said, our exit exam to get out of nursing school was via ATI. So I had already read it through for my ATI exit exam, but I wanted to read it through again prior to taking the NCLEX because I knew it would really help me and just, reinforce everything that I was looking at on UWorld and also via Mark Klimek as well. So let's see. Okay, and another thing that I did was when I was going through my questions on UWorld and I saw that I kept maybe getting the same subject wrong, if I saw that, what I would do was I would do targeted review for that subject, in the sense that if I was dealing with something on, like, say, cardiac related. And so I kept missing the same disease. So I'm like, okay, well, clearly the rationales aren't doing enough for me to really retain that information. So what I would do is I would go to my ATI book, look up that specific section, and then I would go over that section that day to make sure that I was reinforcing that information again. And then if I felt like maybe the ATI book wasn't doing enough for me either, even though that didn't really happen, but you can go to your actual nursing textbooks as well to just highlight that specific information that you need to hopefully drive the point home of whatever topic you were missing. And that's a way that you can like prevent yourself from having to read like a whole entire nursing textbook, because you don't really need to do that when you're studying for the NCLEX. But targeted review, where you go and you just find the information on a specific topic that you need, that you seem to be missing, is very, very helpful, and it was really helpful for me. So next, I would say the when of studying. When do you study and where do you study? So for this, I would say be very realistic. For me, like I said, I study from noon to 5 p.m. every day, and that was enough for me. I couldn't do any more than that. I had classmates who said that they studied, 7 hours a day, 7 days a week, and did they pass the NCLEX? They definitely passed the NCLEX on their first try, but I didn't do that, and I passed the NCLEX on the first try as well. So I would say do what's best for you. What works for me and what works for somebody else may not work for you. Just think about how you study. Do you get burnt out after a certain period of time? Do you like to study inside? Do you like to study outside? For me personally, I like to study in my own room, or I like to study outside. Like, I have a desk, and studying at it doesn't really help me. So I like to study either in my bed, or I would go on our porch and study right there. In nature, it makes you feel better. You get a nice oxygen, lifts your spirits, and that really helped me as well. But I would say, obviously, figure out what works best for you. Some people like to study in the library, and unfortunately, we can't really go to libraries right now. I know some may be reopening, but just figure that out. See what would be best for you right now, and how to study as efficiently and effectively as possible. So yes, like I said, I studied from noon to 5, and during that time I took water breaks, snack breaks, maybe even a social media break every now and again, because I am not a person who can study for 5 hours straight. I have to take breaks in between. So what I would do is I would break up my test questions. So I do those 2 60-question exams at least. So I would do that, and I would take breaks in between those. While doing that, I would make sure I read every single rationale, make sure I highlighted. I would make flashcards out of important information, and UWorld has really, really, really good graphics and graphs and things like that. So I would make flashcards out of those as well. And I think at the end I had over 200 something flashcards out of all the information that I made. So that was really helpful as well. And then also just make sure that you're doing what you need to do to where you're focused, and you're not just reading a page but not retaining the information, because you would hate to just be looking at the screen and then you kind of lose focus and you're not really retaining information. So if you find yourself doing that, it's okay to take, if you're just having an off day and studying just isn't working that day, it's okay to take that off day. It's okay to say, okay, this isn't working today, I'll come back tomorrow. And when you come back tomorrow, you're gonna make sure that you do 240 questions to make up for skipping yesterday. But that's totally fine, as long as you get to the end and you get everything done by that end. It's okay if you need to take a day or 2 off during that time to really, recenter yourself, come back, take a little break, relax, and all of that. So for me, doing noon to 5 was very, very helpful for me, because it gave me enough time to do all my UWorld questions, read all my sections in ATI, and then also listen to the Mark Klimek Audios and look over his notes as well, while also being able to take breaks and things like that. And then after that, I would say just evaluate yourself, see okay, am I doing better on my UWorld questions? questions, because that'll tell you if you're giving yourself enough time to study. So say you're only studying for maybe 2 hours a day, but you're not improving your knowledge on content, you're not doing better on your UWorld exams. So that would suggest, okay, maybe I need to up it to at least 3.5 or 4 hours, so that you have more time to retain information and study and things like that. So if that's the case, I would suggest doing that. Make sure you're just doing periodic evaluations to make sure that you're really progressing towards where you need to be to pass the NCLEX. That's really, really, really important. Let's see what's next. Okay, so the Mark Klimek Audios and Notes. So for me, I didn't study Mark Klimek all throughout my month and a half-ish of studying. What I did was I saved Mark Klimek to the last week and a half before my NCLEX, because for one, he explains things differently than what you would see in a UWorld rationale and things like that. He has a lot of like graphics you can draw like from the audios and things like that. He has a lot of like shortcuts that you put together to group information in your head. So that wasn't something that I wanted to mix with all of the other like UWorld and ATI book explanations. I didn't want to mix all that together for the whole month and a half. I wanted to say that towards the end. So I did that. I listened to at least like 2 of his audios every day, and most of them were about 50 minutes each, so it wasn't bad. I would listen to those, and at that point I had finished all of my UWorld questions, so I was no longer doing the 120 questions a day. What I instead was doing was I was looking over all of the missed questions that I missed on UWorld the first time. I was going through and doing at least 60 of my missed questions so that I could see like, okay, I was missing these questions before. Now that I've reviewed that content, am I getting these questions right? Ooh, excuse me. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, I would then just review those missed questions and see if I was then getting those questions right, and I was. So that was also reassuring to me as I was getting closer to my test date, like, okay, what I was doing was working, my remediation was working, I was now retaining information, getting these questions right that I was at first getting wrong, and it really just helps you feel more confident moving closer and closer to your test date. Like at this point, you know, it was a week and a half or less than a week and a half away. So that really helps you as well. And then also the Mark Klimek, I also had some notes from Mark Klimek, which are just like notes that people made or from like his little blue book, and that was helpful as well. If I could find links to the videos that I found, I'll list them down below. Some of his audios were on YouTube a couple weeks ago when I was, doing this, because it got tedious trying to deal with the downloads on my computer via like the way that I had them sent to me, but on YouTube, like, it was easy and it would just play. So if I could find them, I'll definitely link them down below. But I was looking for them yesterday and I couldn't find them, so that was really confusing to me. But hopefully I could still find them and they haven't been like taken down or anything, because that would suck. But yes, if I could find them, I would definitely leave them linked down below for you all. You know, gotta help everyone out. And yes, let's see. So that's about it for Mark Klimek. Yeah, his audios are really helpful, and if you can afford to go to his live review, I would definitely do that. He still does them, so yeah, I would definitely do that. Okay, so moving on to what I did in the immediate days leading up to my NCLEX exam. So I took my NCLEX exam on May 5th. That was a Tuesday. And I decided to save my practice exams for that Saturday and Sunday before I took the NCLEX. That way I could spend like a whole day just on that practice exam, looking at the rationales, looking over everything. And for both of those times, I received, well, let me back up. So when you take the practice exam via UWorld, I can't speak for other ones, but via UWorld, you'll get 100 questions per exam. You'll have 2.5 hours to complete the exam. You can't go back after you've answered a question. It's really styled like the NCLEX. You know, you have a calculator in there that you can click to use and things like that. So after that, what I did was I looked at the analysis, because it'll give you an analysis, it'll give you a percentile rank, and then it'll give you your likelihood of passing the NCLEX. So for both times, I got a very high likelihood to pass the NCLEX. And mind you, like, I was not getting 90% on these exams, and you really don't need to. I think for both of them, I got into like the 73rd or 74th percentile rank, and honestly, that's not good at all. Coming from someone who's used to getting like, 90 percentiles in standardized testings, I was kind of like, a little shook. But honestly, it was fine at that point. I was just like, I'm ready to take my NCLEX, and this is telling me that I'm very likely to pass. So I'm great. I'm good with that. And honestly, personally, to me, UWorld questions were harder than the NCLEX. So if you can make it through UWorld and you can get that green light from UWorld saying like, okay, you have a very high chance of passing, and I got that likelihood on both of the practice exams, like it really makes you feel good. Like, okay, that means that I probably, more than anything, will pass. Like, they'll tell you like it's not a guarantee. Obviously they can't guarantee because they don't write the NCLEX, but you have a very, very high likelihood of passing the NCLEX if you get that on your practice exam. So I would say definitely take those serious. Sit at a desk. You want to make sure that you're in a quiet environment and that you're actually acting as if you're in the NCLEX, because you want to make sure that you're not like skewing the results or anything. Don't cheat yourself while you're doing these questions and things like that, because at the end of the day, you're only cheating yourself. Like, you want to make sure that you're being honest with yourself so that you can do the best remediation, the best studying as possible. So I would just suggest that. And that's basically it for my tips on studying. Moving on to actual tips on staying motivated to study. So the ways that I stayed motivated to study was that I looked at studying as something that I had to do in order to do something else. So basically, as I said, I studied from noon to 5 p.m. And from there, like, I knew, like, okay, after that, I can go relax. I can go get into my hobbies that I've been trying to do. So during quarantine, I've been really getting into, like, cooking, baking. I have some new shows that have been coming out. So I've really been interested in all of that. And so I told myself, like, okay, once you get through all of that work, you can go and enjoy those things. And not only are they like rewards, but they're ways for you to relax and unwind from studying. You can really just go do some mindless tasks, like, watch Rick and Morty and relax. Like, you don't have to do some super complicated dessert or something like that. You can do something very chill. If you like video games, go play video games. If you like to work out, I started doing the Nike Run Club challenge. I cannot say that I've been very good in keeping on top of that, but even just doing a regular workout, say you want to do some yoga, say you want to do a quick little jog, or even if you just want to go out in your driveway or backyard or patio, I don't know, and just do like a quick 20-30 minute workout, like things like that will really help you stay motivated, because it's like, okay, I can get through my studying, and honestly it'll help you look forward to studying, because it's like, okay, now I'm able to keep doing what I need to do to study not study the NCLEX, but to pass the NCLEX, so that I can move on and get the NCLEX behind you. Because when I tell you, it feels so good to have the NCLEX behind you, to have your license. Like, stay focused on the end goal. You worked so hard through nursing school, and it's like, okay, you graduated, boom, that's one hurdle. And it's like, okay, now the NCLEX is that final thing keeping you from your dream nursing job and career. And you don't want to let anything stand in between that, especially not a freaking test. So you just keep that in mind. Like, this is the end result of everything that you've been doing for the past 2 or 4 years, depending on, if you got your BSN or not. But it's the culmination of all of that. And once you pass this hurdle, you know, you'll be done. You know, you'll be a registered nurse with a license. Like, what? Like, this is what you've been waiting for years. So just also keep that in mind as a way to stay motivated as well. And then another way that I stayed motivated was having an accountability partner, and that accountability partner was my dad. When I tell you that he would ask me every day, mind you, I didn't ask him to be my accountability partner, but he just took up that task himself. And he really would ask me like almost every single day, you know, how's studying? What studying did you do today? How's studying coming? Like, bro, and it was so annoying. Let me tell you, it was very, very annoying. But it was only annoying when I knew that I hadn't done what I needed to do that day, and I was going, you know, get a little break, a little snack at like 2 p.m. And it's like, okay, I really have been like half-assing my studying. But it's like, okay, thanks. Like, it pushes you to be like, okay, let me get my stuff together. Let me go get in the zone and really, really pay attention to drive this information home in my brain, because you don't want to, obviously, like, taking the NCLEX isn't for anyone else but you, but you have those people who have supported you, who've pushed you, who've encouraged you, motivated you, so you don't want to let those people down. So when you have someone who's like helping to encourage you and keep you on track, it's really, really helpful for staying motivated as well. So those are my, you know, last few tips on how to stay motivated for the NCLEX during quarantine. I know we can't really go out, you know, with our friends and stuff like that, and do all that, but there are ways that you can stay motivated while still trying to enjoy yourself and being as efficient as possible in quarantine. So next, we can talk about test day tricks and tips. So for me, I would suggest you get there very early. So for me, I got there like an hour and a half early, but you don't need to be that early. I would say an hour is good. I got there at, say, like at 1:45, and my test time was at 3:15. So I would just sit in my car. I tried to look through flashcards and stuff like that, but it was pretty like boring. Like, it wasn't sticking, so I just like gave up and started listening to music, trying to just, you know, relax, calm myself, center myself, and, you know, said a little prayer and just got myself ready to go in and take the test. So I decided to go in like pretty early. I went in at like 2:25, 2:30, because I didn't know like what the process would be like. Would it be slow? Would it be quick? Is there a lot of people here? My testing center required everyone to wear a mask, so I brought my mask. I had on an N95, and then I also brought gloves as well, because they said that you can bring them if you want it, and I did like having my gloves, because I'm not saying they didn't, but I didn't see anyone wiping down like the keyboard and stuff like that. So just for your own peace of mind, like, it was easier for me to have the gloves. But yes, so when I got in, surprisingly wasn't a lot of people. I basically just had to go up. They do a palm vein scan on you. They look over your form of identification. I brought two just in case. I brought my driver's license and a passport, but you only need one. And you actually don't have to print out anything and bring it with you, so that was, you know, nice as well. And then you also have to take a picture, so I had to take my mask off for the picture, but that's the only time you have to take your mask off. And then from there, I just went back to the actual employee who watches you while you take the test in the room with everyone. And then from there, it was, you know, smooth sailing. So I would suggest going early, because if you can even possibly take your test early, because I started my test at least 30 minutes before I was scheduled to, which was nice, because you just have less time to be waiting and anticipating taking the NCLEX. So that is basically it for test day tips, and then do just the regular test day tips. You know, get good sleep, eat a nutritious or lunch or breakfast. For me, it was lunch, because I took my test at 3:15. So I just ate something light, not super heavy, because you do not want to be falling asleep during your NCLEX. And yeah, I would just say, just be relaxed. as you can be. Try to meditate, prayer, whatever works for you to calm yourself and really just center yourself, because you know if you've done the work, you know if you're prepared. And if you do all of these things, you will definitely be prepared. So I would say just, trust yourself, and have faith in your studying that you've done, and know that you can do it and that you'll be fine. Because at the end of the day, you got through nursing school, so you can get through the NCLEX. It's not going to hold you back if you put your mind to it, if you put the work in. So moving on from there, I want to talk about the 2 tricks that you can use to find out if you pass the NCLEX quicker than those 48 hours where you could pay for the quick results. So the first trick that I want to talk about is the Pearson Vue Trick. This is the most popular trick that I ever heard of. And it's been pretty, almost 100% surefire way to find out if you pass the NCLEX. So what you do is, after you take the NCLEX, you wait until Pearson Vue sends you an email that states you've taken the NCLEX today, blah blah blah. I don't really remember what it said, but it's the email that you get after you take the NCLEX. Wait for you to receive that email. Do not do the trick before then. So after you receive that email, what you can do is you can go in and you can attempt to re-register for the NCLEX. So you're gonna click, it'll say register for NCLEX. So click that, go through the questions. And once you get to the place where you fill in the card information, this is very, very important. So fill out your card information correctly, the right name, the right number, right address, all that stuff. But do not put the correct expiration date. Because if you do, and Lord forbid that you actually do fail the NCLEX, you will be charged another $200 for the NCLEX, which, you might eventually have to pay again, but you don't want to do it right there, especially considering, maybe it might go through and you actually did pass and you paid for it again. It's oh my gosh, I haven't really heard of that happening, but it could happen. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you put in everything correctly about your card information except your expiration date. Put in the wrong expiration date. So from there, you move on, you click submit after you put in your card information with the wrong expiration date. And then from there, on the next screen, you'll either get the good pop-up or the bad pop-up. So the good pop-up, which is what you'll see if you pass the NCLEX, it will say, actually let me pull it up so that I'm giving you all the right information. And I'll also put it on the screen above me. But it will say, our records indicate that you have recently scheduled this exam. Another registration cannot be made at this time. And that's the good pop-up. So if you see this pop-up, that means that you passed the NCLEX, you don't need to pay again, and that they're not letting you pay again or register, because you don't need to register again if you've already passed. So the bad pop-up, which hopefully none of y'all will see, is that they will either ask you for a updated card information because the card didn't go through, which means they tried to run it, so they tried to re-register you and it didn't work, or that somehow, some way, your card information will actually go through and they'll actually try to process your card. So those are the 2 things that will indicate that you did not pass the NCLEX. So, but you don't have to worry about that. You'll get the good pop-up and it'll say, our records indicate that you have recently scheduled this exam. Another registration cannot be made at this time. So that's what you're looking for. That's the good pop-up that you'll see on Pearson Vue's website if you try to re-register for the exam. And so the second trick, this is something that I actually found out after I paid for the quick results, but this is something that if I had known, I wouldn't have even bought the quick results. So this is a way for you to save some coins, save you about $7.99. But so for me, and I don't know if this works for all states, but I'm in the state of Georgia and it did work for me, or it would have if I had known. But I took the NCLEX again on May 5th, and you wait 48 hours for you to get your quick results. So I got my quick results on May 7th, which is that Thursday. So after that, I called my state board of nursing and asked, like, okay, how long until I will be issued a license and a license number and things like that? And she was confused. She was saying, like, you already got issued your license number. And I was like, oh, really? Well, could you tell it to me? And she was like, yeah, your license number was issued on May the 6th. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that it was possible for that to happen. So I was issued a license the day after I took the NCLEX. So, you know, within 24 hours of me taking the NCLEX, I had been issued my license, which is a whole 24 hours before that time frame where you can pay for your quick results via Pearson Vue. So that's another way that you can check and see if you passed. Call your state board of nursing the day after. I would say, like, make sure it's 24 hours. So if you take your NCLEX at, say, like 2 p.m., wait until 2 p.m. after that next day to see if you've been issued your license. Because if you have, that means that you passed the NCLEX. And honestly, I'm a person where I like to see things concrete in front of me, which is why I still paid for the quick results despite getting the good pop-up on Pearson Vue. But if I had known, and if I had called the state board of nursing and they told me on that next day that I had been issued a license, I would not have paid the $7.99 for that quick result, because I would have had a license, and that's, you know, concrete evidence to me that I would have passed the NCLEX. So that's just another trick that you can use, and another way for you all to get some peace of mind, you know, quicker than those 48 hours, because those 48 hours are nerve-wracking. Even though I did get the good pop-up, I was still like, you know, I don't know, something could happen. I could be that one person who got the good pop-up and still failed. Like, you know what? Like, I don't know. But no, I did end up passing, and all of the tricks checked out, and I ended up with a license. I'm now a registered nurse officially. So those are also 2 tricks that you can use to see if you pass the NCLEX quicker than those 48 hours. Thanks for watching. I hope this really helped you all. These were just my tips and tricks on how I studied and stayed motivated to study during quarantine. I'll be honest with y'all, it was not easy. It was pretty hard at times to just stay motivated, because it's so easy to just slack off and watch Netflix all day, just, you know, not be motivated at all to study. But you know, with a plan and with that motivation, you can really just make sure that you're staying on top of everything so that you're successful on your first try. You know, that's what you want, to pass on your first try, so that the NCLEX can be behind you and you can have your license. You can move on to your nursing career. So again, just thank y'all for watching. I really hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm gonna be filming more videos on just my journey as a new nurse. I really just want to document this time. I'm moving into a whole new chapter in my life, doing something that I've, you know, never done before on my own as a registered nurse. So I really just want to document that and have this, and hopefully just be a help to student nurses and to fellow new grad nurses who are out here as well. Leave comments, concerns down below. If you have any suggestions on what I should film next, let me know. I'm looking into cameras and stuff right now, so I apologize for the quality. It's not that good, but I'm looking into cameras and things like that now as well. So if you also have suggestions on cameras and recommendations, leave them down below as well. And I'll also have my social medias and everything in the description bar, so follow me there and interact with me. You know, ask questions. If you have anything like that, you can leave that down below. I plan to film some videos on like my first nursing interviews, how I got my first nursing job as a nurse resident in a nurse residency, and just some day in the lives of a nurse and things like that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you all next time. Bye.